as the young people present here, and through you, young people throughout the African world. You are heirs to both extraordinary suffering and extraordinary achievement, and you have inherited technological possibilities that earlier generations could scarcely have imagined. Within seconds, you can connect Accra to Washington, Kumasi with Kingston, Lagos with London, and Johannesburg with Toronto. But technological connection is not the same as human unity. Unity requires knowledge, trust, discipline, and responsibility. Do not allow others to define Africa entirely for you. Study its history in its complexity. Learn its languages. Examine its institutions. Understand its achievements and failures. And do not approach culture only through fashion, music, and social media. However valuable these expressions may be, heritage requires deeper engagement. At the same time, you should not accept every inherited practice without question. Yes, because respect for tradition does not require intellectual silence. Ask questions, investigate claims, challenge injustice, preserve what is valuable, correct what must be corrected, and now add to the inheritance through your own creativity. The future of African culture will not be secured by elders alone. To be secured when young people discover when they inherit within their inheritance intellectual and moral resources that help them confront the problems of their own generation. You are not required to choose between being modern and being African. You may be a scientist, physician, engineer, lawyer, whatever, scholar of the highest international standing, and remain deeply grounded in the cultural inheritance from which you emerged. Participation in the modern world should not require us to abandon our own languages, intellectual traditions, and historical consciousness. Progress should never require a people to despise themselves. This is why the preservation of African languages deserves urgent attention. Language is more than vocabulary. It carries history, humor, philosophy, moral reasoning, and the categories through which a people interprets reality. In our proverbs, appellations, songs, court language, and oral traditions, some ideas cannot always be fully translated into another language. When a language disappears, humanity does not merely lose a method of communication. Humanity loses a distinctive way of understanding the world. We must therefore ask ourselves difficult questions about how many African children can speak the languages of their grandparents fluently. How many, and I must confess, my children have been taught how to speak, and now they are speaking Trip regularly. When they were young, they thought they were American and British, but now they know that they are Ghanaians. And then how many understand the histories of their towns and villages and families? How many know the meanings carried by the symbols of their communities? And how many can interpret the proverb that once educated generations in ethics, responsibility, and social conduct? We cannot leave the answers to chance. Cultural preservation must become part of serious educational policy. Universities, traditional authorities, museums, families, churches, community institutions, and governments must work together to document endangered knowledge, record oral histories, preserve archives, and train younger generations to interpret their heritage. We are participants in one long historical conversation. Ghana has played an important role in efforts to rebuild these relationships and initiatives such as the Year of Return and Beyond the Return, have encouraged people of African descent to visit Ghana and reconnect with the continent. These initiatives have been valuable, but the relationship must now move beyond ceremonial homecoming. A photograph at a historic site does not by itself create belonging. And an African name does not by itself create belonging. And attendance festival does not by itself create belonging. Belonging is created through relationship, understanding, responsibility, and sustained participation. The Akan concept of Sankofa invites us to return and retrieve what is valuable from the past. But Sankofa does not ask us to remain permanently facing backwards. We recover memory to move into the future with greater wisdom. And the next phase of African diaspora relations must therefore move from symbolic return towards substantive partnership. A chief who is concerned only with ceremony, privileges, titles, and public honor gradually diminishes the institution he represents. At the same time, a traditional ruler who listens to his people, protects community resources, promotes education, mediates conflict, assists the vulnerable, and responds to contemporary challenges, strengthens both tradition and society. Traditional leadership in the 21st century cannot therefore be limited to festivals and ceremonial occasions. It must be capable of responding to educational inequality, unemployment, environmental degradation, land disputes, public health emergencies, community conflict, and the anxieties of young people. The palace must remain a guardian of memory, but it must also become a workshop for the future. This requires traditional institutions themselves to accept reform, because tradition must never become a shield behind which injustice, corruption, exploitation, or arbitrary authority are protected. The dignity of women and children must be defended. Young people must be heard. Persons with disabilities must not be marginalized. Community resources must be managed responsibly. Land administration must be transparent. And succession and customary processes must be conducted with integrity. The proper defense of tradition is therefore not an insistence that nothing should ever change, but the capacity to distinguish between enduring principles of an institution and those practices that require reconsideration. The leader who consumes everything for the advantage of the present generation has misunderstood the nature of stewardship. This principle has particular agency in an age of environmental degradation, uncontrolled exploitation of natural resources, and political decision-making dominated by short-term considerations. We did not create the rivers, forests, land, and ecological systems that sustain us. We inherited them. And whatever our authority may be today, we have no moral right to destroy the inheritance of generations unborn. Traditional governments also remind us. Traditional governance also reminds us that legitimate authority requires consultation. Our people say, "Tikron kwejina," meaning that one head does not constitute a council. And we also say, "Nyansen ni nipa baako tirim," meaning that wisdom does not reside in the head of one person alone. These are not merely attractive proverbs, they communicate a political philosophy. The Asantehene exercises authority through an established order of chiefs, queen mothers, elders, linguists, and recognized customary officers. Matters are considered, evidence may be heard, historical precedent may be recalled. Different perspectives may be presented, and decisions are shaped by consultation and concern for communal harmony.